Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, and I'm back with my plans and pans. Well, if anybody asks me what keeps you up at night, it's this continuing conflict between Israel and Hamas, really. And as a Jew, as a human being, as a member of Congress, the time has come now where we have to have a ceasefire. We have to go in another direction. And we saw and heard about the horrific killing of aid workers in Gaza. They call it the World Central Kitchen, helping people who need food. And of course, that is a great need right now in Gaza. We are hearing about potential of starvation now, and it is children that are really being hurt the most. But the death of these 7 aid workers was certainly very, very bad. One of them was an American. And what we need is to be able to provide the humanitarian assistance without worrying about being slaughtered themselves in Gaza. So a number of members of Congress, I was one of the 3 leaders of the letter, along with Mark Pocan and Jim McGovern, myself, sent a letter to the President of the United States and the Secretary of State, raising concern about what we saw, the killing of these workers. 37 other members, Democrats, joined us in this letter, and that included Nancy Pelosi. I was happy to see. And basically what we were saying is that now as we consider more funding for Israel, that there shouldn't be any more funding for offensive weapons. Not talking about things like Iron Dome or things that would protect Israel itself. The only real way to show that we are serious is to say that the United States will now condition some of the funding to Israel, that it won't be a blank check. I know this is very hard, and I'm sure that there are those of you who disagree with this direction. But for the sake of Israel's security, as well as Palestinians, not only in Gaza, but in the West Bank, we have to move toward an end game that includes ultimately a 2-state solution, a place, a country for both Israel, where Israel can be safe, and a place of freedom for Palestinians. That's the direction I'm working on, and there are many of us who are saying that and involved in that, but in the meantime, we have to do everything we can to stop the killing. There are still over 120 hostages that are being held by Hamas in Gaza, and we cannot forget about them. It is time to make them a priority, and that's why we need to have a ceasefire so we can get those hostages, including some Americans, out of Gaza. Also this week, I got to do one of my favorite things, and that is to go on a little tour of the 48th Ward in Chicago, along with the alderman of that ward, who is Lenny Mana Hoppenworth. And she and I were able to first go to Senn High School. Senn High School has been around for a very long time. In fact, my sister went to that school. Senn High School really gotten so many different programs. It was wonderful to be there. They have 1,600 students. That's a pretty large high school. It is thriving right now. And we were able to go to a dance class that they have. There's lots when it comes not only to the academics at Senn High School, but also the arts. Senn High School has an international baccalaureate program. I went to a class where they were studying film. This is a very diverse school. Kids that come from all over the world, literally, to Senn High School. And just being there, the atmosphere was so positive. I walked through the hall during a change of classes, and it really seemed like the students were enjoying their educational opportunity at Sen High School. Next on the tour was a ribbon cutting for a new restaurant on Bryn Mawr Avenue, and it is called Dulce de Leche. And we were able to have a delicious, at that time it was kind of a late breakfast, but you could have lunch there. It's absolutely great. And it's the Moreno family. This is their second opening of that restaurant, a different place. These are immigrants, and this is a very much an immigrant-friendly community, and we were very happy to be part of that ribbon cutting, and I have a feeling that it's going to be very, very successful. And finally, we went to the Broadway Armory, which is a landmark in the north side of Chicago. And that's where I met with the Edgewater Village Seniors. They are a fantastic group that meets there, and I was able to talk to them about all kinds of issues affecting seniors in particular. I wanted to make sure that they knew that we have to be all together fighting to make sure that we protect Social Security and Medicare. And I made sure I told them that if they have any problems themselves, to call our office and see if we could help solve them for veterans, for health care, for prescription drugs. Make sure to call our office. But the Broadway Armory has been a place that has had a number of migrants there living in the Broadway Armory. The community was welcoming to them, was accepting of them, but very anxious also to get back to all of the programming that had to be moved out. Loyola University, which is in my district, was the host to a great event this week that was sponsored by the Community Advocacy and Violence Prevention Program, where they were focusing on what are we going to do about gun violence. There were 300 people that were in attendance, 200 in person and another 100 online, to hear about this. And I was honored to be able to be the opening speaker just to introduce this. And these mostly students, and actually it was started by a young man who served in my office in Washington, D.C. for a summer. And I was so proud of him for pulling this all together. In the short remarks that I made, I wanted to just highlight the fact that the number one cause of death in the United States of America for school-aged children, guns. Guns. Not disease, not auto accidents, guns. And of course, we are losing well over 40,000 people every year to gun violence. This doesn't happen anywhere else around the world. This is unique to the United States because of the access to guns. And it's not just a matter of these mass shootings. It is also because of what we call the everyday shootings in communities all across our area and all across the country. We want to make sure that all of us are safe in our own communities. But I was also thrilled to hear the keynote speaker, whose name is Gonzalez. X was a student at Marjory Stoneman-Douglass, the school that had that terrible mass shooting in Florida, and was also one of the leaders of March for Our Lives, the organization that these students developed afterwards. And they did a tremendous job of really appealing at the level of the students that were in the audience. The American people are on their side, on our side, to have a safer community. It was a wonderful gathering. It's always a privilege to go to the new parts of my district. And I was able to go and talk to 4th and 5th graders from Barrington North Elementary School. Having been a teacher myself, it's always fun for me to be with the students. And I also had the opportunity to meet with the mayor of Hawthorne Woods. His name is Dominic DiMaggio, and also Holly Kim, who is the treasurer of Lake County. We were able to discuss the community project funding that I was able to bring to Hawthorne Woods, which amounted to $850,000, mainly to bring better water to people. I also told him, if you have constituents that need help, that want to cut through the red tape, have people call us. Bob and I, my husband, were able to go to a really heart-rendering, wonderful event that is to help migrants that have come to our community, particularly on the North Shore, on the north side. There were a couple hundred people that came to this event. They were raising money to make sure that whatever accommodations could be given to migrants now in our communities, to help them and to welcome them to the community and to identify some of the housing issues that they have and other problems that they may have, and to just lend a friendly hand in the community. They also had as entertainment some students from my alma mater, Sullivan High School. 3 young people who were from Venezuela, and they were singing. They have gotten some press, even in the Chicago Sun-Times. Anyway, they were there, and I took a picture with them because, I'm so proud of Sullivan High School, and it was really fun to be with them. But really wonderful. I thanked all the people who were there for being such good neighbors themselves. So you just heard the end of a 2-week district work period, and now I go back to Washington, D.C. and try and help to tackle many of the things that are still pending. And then I'll report it to you next week. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.